Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20 and welcome to an updated mod spotlight on Thaumcraft 4. That's right, Thaumcraft has gotten quite a few upgrades. I'm looking at the list in front of me of all the stuff I have to cover, and it's pretty big, so I really have to jump straight into it and show you guys all the new stuff. I'll start with some really basic things and then move on to more and more advanced and awesome goodies. If you've been watching my Forgecraft series, you have been seeing a bit of this, but there's a lot to check out, so let's get started checking out all the updates to Thaumcraft 4. Alright guys, first off, let's take a look at these nifty little gadgets. We've got Greatwood and Silverwood planks. You guys are going to want to remember how to make these. It's really pretty easy, so don't worry about it. Just Silverwood in a crafting table or Greatwood in a crafting table. Number one, they look really cool. Number two, they are used for a few recipes, so keep that in mind. Next up, a really useful and handy little trick of the Thaumonomicon. In the Aspects of Magic tab, you could list all the aspects and their different combinations, right? One of the features added to this was the ability to mouse over an item or an aspect in here and see all the items that have that aspect on it. For example, Fabrico, there's 1 on the crafting table and there's 4 on the Arcane crafting table. Pretty nifty, right? You can see all kinds of good features of this. For example, Metallum, you can see there's all kinds of items that have Metallum in it. Now, obviously, I haven't scanned too many items because this is a test world, but you definitely get to see that mousing over shows you how much of different aspects are on different things. So a very, very handy and useful way without having to look at like a website or an out-of-game resource to figure out which items have which aspects for when you're looking to do stuff like infusion crafting or anything like that. Another neat little trick for you guys, like I said, showing the basic stuff first, but a lot of times you might be filling up your jars of Essentia around your infusion table, and you find that you just get a lot of a particular aspect. For me, it's always arbor. I always have so much arbor left over because I'm using like boats to get iter, and I'm getting all kinds of different items here, and I get tons of arbor, and it kills me. So as Nor added to that, if you shift right click a jar, it'll empty it out of all its aspects. Don't worry, it doesn't affect the environment or cause taint or flux or anything like that. Just shift right click, it's gone, see you later, adios. Now, while I'm on the topic of Essentia and the distillation thereof, I'd like to show you guys all about one of the latest and greatest changes to the mod that really adds some pretty cool stuff. It's Essentia tubes. These are one of the major changes to the mod. Now, Essentia is this magical essence that you can't really transport through normal liquid pipes. So Essentia tubes allow you to transport it like a pipe, but, it's got a little bit of a magical protection on it to prevent all that, nasty stuff from seeping out into the environment. So Essentia tubes basically are the piping system that allows you to transport Essentia around. Just this research gives you 2 items, the Essentia tube, which transport liquids, and the Essentia valve, which allows you to stop liquids from moving based on a couple different criteria. So it's real easy. Let's first off start cooking up some Essentia. I'm going to throw some redstone into my alchemical furnace here, and we'll see some machina and some potentia starting to flow. All right, in order to start transporting this stuff, it's real easy. Hook up your tubes to the side of your alembics, and they'll start trying to shove that Essentia anywhere it fits. Now, you can't pump things into alembics. So you'll see here the top 2 are still empty and the bottom 2 are still filling up with all kinds of important stuff. Let's go ahead and dump it straight into the tubes here. Ta-da! Simply connect your tubes to your jars and they'll start filling. So all the Essentia is moving from the alembics here into the jars via the pipes. Really nice, right? So nice and easy to transport that stuff. Now, if you want, you can go ahead and hook up an Essentia valve here. Now, just when it's installed normally, the Essentia valve works just like you would expect. It still continues to transport the liquid, or the Essentia, but simply right-click on it, and it seals itself, and it prevents any more Essentia from traveling through the system. So we'll see there's still some Essentia in here. It's not moving. This guy is no longer filling up, and if we unscrew this guy, it allows it to start flowing again. Awesome. And it should be noted that these valves can respond to a redstone signal. Now, to go hand in hand with this nifty little system, you also get jar labels. It's real easy. Just right-click on a jar with Essentia inside it already, and it'll stick a label on there, labeling the jar with what type of Essentia goes inside. This is really pretty useful if you want to make sure only certain types of Essentia can go into the jar. Right now, because there's already, 32 of this potentia in here, it's really pretty straightforward. Any more potentia would automatically go into this jar, and nothing else is allowed to go in. However, if we had some empty files here, and we drained this out entirely, and then we started cooking something like dirt, which has a bit of the earth aspect on it, we'll note that the dirt starts to boil away, and the dirt aspect, or the terra aspect, can't fit in this jar because it's already labeled for potentia. So there's no way to get this terra to go into this jar. Now, if we were to insert another tube and place it down here, we'll note that this jar quickly starts filling with the Terra aspect. It shouldn't have a problem. There it goes, already filling up. Perfect. And the Potentia jar is not accepting the Terra, even though that's the first jar along the line and normally would have accepted it. Cool. Now, of course, if we do throw a little bit more redstone in there, we should start to see the Potentia start to fill into that jar, indicating that it's working exactly the way we want. So only Potentia can go in there. Cool. And just shift right click to get your stuff back. Nice. Finally, it should also be noted that jars that have a label on them have a significantly higher suction rate to store Essentia. So if we had this vial of Essentia over here, the Potentia stuff, and we were to put it into this jar, note that it's draining out of the jar. The reason for that is it's going into this one. So any jar with a label on it is going to take preferential treatment and actually drain from other jars. However, if there is no label on it, like so, it'll go ahead and stop draining. You'll see that no longer is it draining out of the jar. This one is staying in its position. So pretty much whichever jar is labeled is the one that starts to fill up, and the jar that's not labeled is the one that gets emptied. Pretty cool. Now, next up, we've got the Alchemical centrifuge. It basically allows you to break Essentia down into its component parts. So let's take a look. We've got a little bit of Essentia in here. We've got some Machina, and we've got some Potentia. Let's see what the component parts of those guys are. First off, let's take a look at Machina. All right, that's Modus and Instrumentum. And Potentia, that would be Ordo and Ignis. Cool. All right, let's let the flow happen. So it'll drain out of these guys. It'll hit the centrifuge and drain into the jars. Now, it's important to connect your pipe to the bottom of the centrifuge for input and the top of the centrifuge as your output. Let's let the draining happen and see what goes on. Oh, it's spinning. Cool. So we can see here we got some Instrumentum. That's nice. And over here we're getting some Ignis. Really cool. So what's happening? It's basically randomly choosing one of the two component aspects and splitting it. So we only got Instrumentum and Ignis when we did that. So we got one Instrumentum and two Ignis. So we can see here that Machina is Modus and Instrumentum, so the random chance happened to be Instrumentum that we got. We might have gotten Modus. If we run some more Machina in there, we might get some more Modus. We might get some more Instrument. It's totally random. And then from there, we've also got Potentia is Ordo and Ignis. In this chance, we happen to get Ignis from it. So that's how you can split it into your component parts. And it doesn't only split down into base aspects like Ignis and Ordo. It will actually split into Instrumentum. And if you want, you can run Instrumentum through here again and split it down into its component parts, which in this case would happen to be Humanus and Metallum. Nice. You know what I hate having to do? Recharge my wands all the time. It's so manual. I wish there was an automated way you could do it. Oh good, there is. Wand recharge pedestal. Automated wand recharging. Perfect. Now this is a pretty complex and involved recipe. You do need 10 Aurum, which pretty much as far as I know only comes from Wisp essences. I think you can also get it from beacons, but I mean if you want to use another star to get some Aurum, that's cool, that's on you. But Wisp essences are the best source of Aurum, and I'll show you a good way to get those in a moment. But the wand recharge pedestal is really pretty cool. Let's go ahead and get ourselves one. So the wand recharge pedestal, just place it down near any nodes, and it sits there happily. Now, all you have to do is right-click with your wand. You'll see that my wand doesn't really have much by way of aspects left in it. So, right-click, and ta-da! It'll automatically start charging the wand. Now, if you mouse over the wand recharge pedestal, you'll kind of see the aspects, what they currently are, and you'll see them getting filled up by the nearby nodes. Very cool, right? Now, there's another upgrade to this that you can get. Right-click again to knock it off, and you can get it back. Now, the upgrade to that is actually pretty useful, and it's the only use for these so far that I know about. I think there's going to be more in the future. At least that's what the little thing here indicates. It's the compound recharge pedestal. And basically what this does is if you've ever found a aura node that doesn't have a primal aspect in it, like this one has Lux, that's not a primal aspect, and you can't drain it into your wand in any way, shape, or form. See, all we get out of this guy is the water. The Lux is inaccessible to us, okay? Now let's take a look at the aspects of magic and see what Lux is. Air and Ignis. So we can't charge air or Ignis in our wand here. However, if we were to put the compound recharge pedestal on here, It's an upgrade, so you want to place it right on top of the pedestal. There you go. Now place your wand in it. Now I'm not sure if it'll do it. Let me see if I can force it to. I want to get rid of anything with fire on it. So here's a good tip, by the way. Easy way to get Aurum. Kill an aura node. Ta-da! Lots of those things drop. Now, of course, it's not a good idea to run around killing aura nodes whenever you need that stuff. Trust me, it's a bad idea because you don't want to kill your aura nodes. They're very nice to have. They help you recharge your wand. All right, so the only source of Ignis for this wand anywhere nearby should be this Lux. Let's see if I'm right about it. We just have to wait for it to get around to refilling from Ignis. There we go. So there we are. We can see the Ignis is being refilled and the Lux is being drained. That's because this upgrade allows it to drain complex aspects like the Lux. And just like when you have the advanced node tapping, if you have a good wand in here, it won't completely drain the node. However, if you have like a flimsy wand, like a basic wooden iron capped wand, it might completely drain the node, and you know that's bad news because it means it potentially won't completely refill. It might not. We'll see, right? So it's a chance that you might lose that aspect altogether from that node. So make sure really to only put good wands in the pedestal. Otherwise, you might be, killing your nodes off. But that is the compound upgrade. Pretty cool. All right, guys, one quick change to the magic mirror that I want to show you. All right, you can see here, hey, where'd my item go? What's going on here? Sometimes it gets through, but not all the time. Interesting. What's happening? Well, I think you need to get yourself a warded jar, place it nearby, and fill it with Iter. Iter is now the fuel for your magical transportations. Let's see what happens. Ah, much better. Ah, there we go. The Iter is going into the magic mirror now. Good. It seems to be about one full stack of items per Iter that you need. So, every time you send a stack through, it might go ahead and drain some in there. Perfect. Another nifty change is if we come over here and take a look, we'll see that we have a silverwood tree, and inside the silverwood tree we can find a pure aura node. Pretty much you have a random chance of any log within the silverwood tree having a pure node in it. It could be the very bottom one, it could be one on the top, in the middle, on the sides, whatever. Somewhere inside that silverwood tree there might be a log. You might get a silverwood tree with no pure nodes, and you might get a silverwood tree with 2 or 3 pure nodes in it. I mean, it's all totally random, okay? But once you've got that grown, that pure node will slowly but surely convert the surrounding area to a magical forest biome. We can see the magical forest biome that we're currently in. Pretty cool. So over here, it was all ocean biome before. We're on a little island in the middle of the ocean, but right here is magical forest, and it pretty much reaches right around that silverwood tree. It's a nice way of dealing with Taint. However, there's probably a slightly better way of dealing with Taint, so why don't I show you that right now. Oh no, what happened over here? Uh-oh, I think it's pretty obvious, isn't it? We've got some tainted aura nodes. If we take a look and scan these, we'll see that it is in fact a tainted node, and that is causing the taint biome nearby. Ouch! Getting some flux taint just standing near here. Well, let's take a look at how we can remedy that. What does the Thaumanomicon have for me today? I believe under Alchemy, we've got this nifty little gadget, the Ethereal Bloom. Now, you're going to need some of these shimmer leaves, which always spawn underneath silverwood trees. A good way to get them is to grow a silverwood tree, and they will show up underneath it. You're going to need to combine that in a crucible with some herba, some Procantio, some Sano, and some Bitium. So a pretty good mix of stuff that you're going to need to be able to get to be able to cure this taint. But trust me, the Ethereal Bloom is going to really help you out. Let's go ahead and plant one and see what we can do to battle this taint. So Ethereal Blooms. Here goes nothing. I hope this works, because this stuff is nasty. Oh, that seems pretty nice. So we can already see an immediate change in the environment. If we're paying real close attention to the ground, we should start to see some of this, purple nasty stuff turn to green. It's kind of clearing out the area for us, and this will rapidly, actually, believe it or not, convert this tainted land back to a normal biome type. See, look, over here, that fibrous taint already disappeared. It'll all start turning green, and it'll destroy the fibrous taint that is causing the spread of taint. So it's probably going to battle with these two tainted nodes that I cheated in here, but don't worry. It does a pretty good job of cleaning things up. Now, it only works in about an 8-block radius, so your best bet is if you catch the taint early, you want to contain it and get rid of it and knock it down. However, if you don't catch it early, you might need to throw a couple of these things around to help clear it away. But don't worry, like I said, they do a really nice job of clearing the land up, and in just a few minutes here we should probably see significant improvement. Look, you can already see some of it turning back, and the biome is turning back to an ocean biome. It used to be tainted land, but we're already seeing some of that turn back to an ocean biome. Pretty awesome, isn't it? So these ethereal blooms do a really good job of cleaning up your taint problem. And with that, do keep in mind that any flux that occurs as a result of infusion crafting or crucible overflowing or anything like that can and will start to cause some tainted land nearby. So do yourself a favor and make sure that you're careful with your magic, because any tainted land nearby might be a problem for you. I should also note for you guys, just so you're aware of this, that these aura nodes were cheated in and were tainted. This aura node was not tainted when I originally came by, but it is now. So any aura nodes caught in a tainted biome will themselves become tainted. Nasty. So that's how you clean up taint. You can already see it's a significant improvement just having a couple of these flowers nearby here. Like I said, anything within an 8-block radius will get tidied up. Next up, I'd like to introduce you to the Pechs. These guys are actually pretty nifty guys. How's it going, man? Now, don't get them angry, because they really, really hurt. What they will do as well is steal any items that you happen to drop on the ground. Oh, thanks for taking my cobblestone, buddy. Really nice of you. How do you interact with them? Well, first off, you have to win them over. These guys are really greedy, and they love anything shiny. I wonder if I have anything in here that could be considered shiny. Oh, yeah, I know, gold. Gold is usually considered pretty shiny. What makes it considered shiny? Well, it's actually just this aspect right here. There we go. The little golden hand is the aspect that will hold all the value for these guys, the Lucrum aspect. All right, simply drop one of those on the ground, and he might get interested in picking it up. Come here, buddy. Pick up some of these gold pieces for me, would you? Oh, there we go. Once you see these green particle effects, it means that he has become your friend, and he would like to get to know you better by trading. Trading is really easy. Basically, anything with the Lucrum aspect can be placed in this slot here. If it doesn't have Lucrum on it, like this crafting table, you might be able to place it in there, but you're not going to be able to click the center button to trade. Okay, so the higher the Lucrum level, the better. Pretty much, I think the highest that really matters is 5. Anything above 5 is overkill. Okay, so go ahead and hit the random dice button here, and you might get something cool, like a potion of swiftness. All right, the higher the Lucrum aspect, the better chance for cool stuff. I got a native gold aspect, and I happen to get my cobblestone back that I dropped. So he does have an inventory that he remembers what he's received, and you might get all kinds of nifty stuff. Now, if I were to get perhaps a block of gold, which definitely has a higher aspect count, you can get really good stuff like silverwood saplings. You can get blaze rods. You can get all kinds of goodies. So simply sit here for a little bit and roll your random dice. Ooh, a sacred oak sapling. That's pretty much an indication that you can also get pretty much anything that's considered dungeon loot. So you can see we got music discs here, knowledge fragments, more potions. Pretty cool, right? So silverwood saplings, awesome, really good to get. Nice golden apples, cool. Here's what I was looking to get: a magic bean. Magic beans are very useful and important. See you later, Mr. Pechs. I got what I wanted from you. Magic beans can be grown in a magical biome. So any biome that has the magical tag on it, they can be grown on simply by growing them on wood. So let's take a look over here. I'm going to try and grow them in this ocean biome. Note that I can't put them on this tree. You can eat them, by the way. Oh boy. Weird things can and do happen when you eat magic mana beans. Okay, there we go. Cool. Can't place them there, though. You can only place them on trees inside a magical biome, like the magical forest. Ah, there we go. Cool. Now these magical beans will grow kind of like cocoa, and they get larger and larger over time. And if they get to their full size, they have a small chance of producing 2 beans when you break them versus 1. You'll know that they're at their full size because they will be rapidly pulsing, and we'll kind of see that maybe by the end of the video if we get there in time. Okay, so plant them in a magical biome here and help them to grow. cool. Once they've reached full size, you want to harvest them and probably replant them again so you can start getting more. For now, why don't I show you what you can do with these awesome mana beans. The main use for mana beans is Salus Mundus. All right, it's pretty much a magical thaumaturgist salt, and it's pretty much used by crushing up vials of shards and ethereal essence. Now, ethereal essence, as we know, is hard to come by. You either have to destroy an aura node, or you have to kill a wisp. And wisps aren't that common. They really only spawn in magical biomes. Here's a tip, though. Good place to find them is the nether. You will find them flying around the nether every now and then. What you want to do instead, though, is get yourself some mana beans. Mana beans plus any shard. Any two beans, doesn't have to be the same bean, can be two different beans, whatever you want. Plus the shard is another alternate way to get the Salus Mundus, and it's much easier to come by mana beans than it is for ethereal essence, because, you know, they're farmable, basically. If you plant them on the trees and wait for them to grow all the way, they will be able to be farmed. So that's much better than using the ethereal essence. What is the Salus Mundus used for? Well, let's take a look. One of the things you want to be able to get from this is some wands. Now, your basic Greatwood wand core, which you guys know can store about 50 V of each type, is still pretty easy to make. Just 2 Greatwood logs in a Arcane workbench with some Perdito. However, upgraded wands, like the Arcane Infusion that you're going to have to do to get yourself a Blaze Rod core, which can store 75 V, requires Salus Mundus. And pretty much any core wand above Greatwood is going to require this stuff. Now, remember, node transportation, which is a really, really useful thing, requires 70 V to do, or 75. Is it 70 or 75? Something like that, but it's more than 50 for sure. So if you want to be able to transport nodes around or do any kind of advanced magic, you're going to need to know how to make the Salus Mundus, all right? And it's going to be used to arcane infuse all your different rod types. You also need it, of course, for your Silverwood rod. It's another arcane infusion here, Silverwood plus the Salus Mundus, and one of each type of magical shard, and almost all the base aspects plus magic gives you your Silverwood rod, okay? And then finally, no longer are Thaumium wand caps that easy to get. Silver wand caps are still pretty easy, but you do need to infuse them with Salus Mundus, and Thaumium wand caps are the same, all right? Still pretty easy to get, but you only get inert Thaumium caps from that. You need to do Arcane Infusion and need 3 Salus Mundus each per Thaumium cap. And remember, you're going to need 2 Thaumium caps if you want to have a really good wand. So you're going to need 6 Salus Mundus in total to get the best wand available with the caps, plus you're going to need one of them for the core. So 7 Salus Mundus to get a Silverwood wand core and 2 Thaumium wand caps. That's why I tell you it's important to know how to make this stuff, because it's going to be very useful for you. All right. Finally, the next thing I want to show you is the other use for Salus Mundus, which is Infusion enchantment. Infusion enchantment is basically a way of enchanting items with Arcane Infusion. Let's check it out. So the basic gist here is the higher level you want to get, the more expensive it becomes. And if you want to combine, 2 different aspects on the same item, it's going to get even more expensive still. So to begin, let's look at repair, for example. Repair is simply place an item in the center slot of your infusion table, and you're going to need an anvil and a piece of Salus Mundus. Now for repair level 1, it's only going to cost you 10 of Fabrico, Ordo, and Procantio. Okay, 8 of that. So, but to get up to repair 2, you're going to need 20, 20, and 16. So the higher level you get, the more it costs. Now to get up to level 2, you need to enchant it with level 1 first, and then enchant it with level 2. So in total, you're going to need 30, 30, and 24. Okay, so you have to enchant level 1 first, then level 2. Now if you've already got repair on there and you want to put something else on, see here it says if you're enchanting a sword with fire aspect 1 that already contains smite 3, it'll cost 30% more. Aha, gotcha. All right. Instability also increases as the total number of enchantments on the object increases. So the more enchantments that are going on the item, the higher the chance for instability and bad things. But you can basically get almost any enchant that I can see in the game. You've got your haste options here, potency, frugal, treasure, protections, all your different protections, feather falling and respiration, all the good stuff. All right, so all the vanilla enchants, all the Thaumcraft enchants. Now, if any other mod adds its own enchants, I doubt it would be in here, unless it does some kind of API thing with Thaumcraft. So don't expect, any mod that adds its own enchants to have them available in here. It's just vanilla and Thaumcraft by default, unless, like I said, the mod itself decides to add its own infusion enchantment recipes. I don't even know if that's possible. All right, so let's take a look at it real quick just to see what's involved. So I've got this awesome Sword of the Zephyr here. I really don't want to lose it because it's a good, nifty sword. So I'm going to place it in the center here, and I'm going to enchant it with Repair. It's real easy. Just grab yourself an anvil and place it on one side, and then get your Salus Mundus and plant it on the other side. You're also going to need, like I said, some Percantio, some Fabrico, and some Ordo on here. Let's go ahead and grab our wand and give this thing a whack. Go, my friend. Oh boy, it's stealing levels from me. Ouch. Note that levels are also taken from the player during this process, so it just drained a couple experience levels from me, the player, along with the infusion requirements here. So make sure you have some levels on you, because if you don't, this thing's going to fail just outright. There we go. So, player experience and these things here. Good. Everything's working pretty well. Ta-da! I've got a sword with Repair 1 on it. Cool. Let's make sure that I've got a little bit more by way of levels. Alright, notice that I only got Repair 1 on this guy. If I want to get Repair 2, it's going to cost a little bit more. So we're going to need another anvil and another Salus Mundus and do this whole ordeal again. I've currently got 20 levels. Let's see how much it steals from me. Oh yeah, the higher the level the enchant, the more levels it's going to steal. So to go from, 0 to 1 wasn't so bad, but to go from 1 to 2 cost me 12 levels. Ouch. But now that it's taken all those levels from me, the player, it's going to go ahead and start infusing. You can see it's, again, using more of those aspects to infuse. Pretty cool. Draining it out of there and doing what it needs to do to infuse this guy up to Repair level 2. Awesome. There we go. Repair 2 on my Sword of the Zephyr. Awesome. Have you ever just felt like torches aren't bright enough and can't do what you want them to do? Yeah, happens to me all the time. So you might want to get yourself an Arcane lamp. This is a pretty new item and very nice to have. It is an Arcane Infusion, so you're going to need some amber, some nitor, some iron, and a daylight sensor. All right, and what this thing is going to do is go ahead and make sure that it keeps things well lit. So I'm in this really dark area. I'm going to light it up a little bit with a torch. Gee, that really doesn't help, does it? No, not at all. Let's get the Arcane lamp in here. Ta-da! The Arcane lamp will automatically detect areas of darkness nearby and fill them up with light. It takes a few seconds to enable it across the board, but you'll see everything kind of lighting up pretty quickly. Nice. So you can see a nice large area. Even up there is getting lit up, so it spreads out slowly but surely to light the area up. Beautiful. Much better than a simple torch. And you can see nifty little particles floating around saying, hey, I'm keeping this area lit for you. Thanks, guys. You're awesome. But this thing doesn't end there with its usefulness. There's even better stuff you can do with it. So one of my favorite items from Thaumcraft is the Arcane board. It allows you to automatically mine things and drop it in nearby chests. Awesome. Love it, right? Pretty cool device. Well, I wonder, is there a way to make it even better? If we were to, perhaps, place next to this guy, instead of a lever, an Arcane lamp. I'm going to put the lever on the other side just to make things easier. Ta-da! First off, the Arcane lamp is going to light the area up for us, which is very nice and very cool. But we know that after a little while, this thing's going to bore into the earth, and it's going to create this really dark tunnel that leads all the way down and spawns a ton of monsters. And that, my friends, is a hassle. Don't worry. We're going to place nearby a jar of Essentia next to this Arcane lamp, and we're going to get some vials of Lux Essence. All right? So Essence of Lux, which is really easy to get. You can typically get it from a torch. Go ahead and put that in there. And it's going to slowly but surely fill that Arcane lamp, and it's going to drain some Lux. A good amount of it, too. And that Arcane lamp is going to light up the tunnel that the Arcane board digs. So you don't have to worry about this deep, dark tunnel that's really nasty and scary and all tons of monsters. Hey, maybe you want to make a mob spawner? That's cool. Don't place this here. But if you are trying to just dig and not create a massive area for tons of enemies to spawn, do yourself a favor, place the Arcane lamp right nearby, and it'll go ahead and just drain the Lux. And anywhere it needs to light up, it will go ahead and use one little bit of Lux to, light that area up. And that dark cave will be dark no longer. Cool. Nice and bright over here. I like it. And that, guys, feels like a pretty good wrapping up point for the Thaumcraft update. So lots of new things in Thaumcraft that are available. I hope you guys enjoyed checking this out. There's a lot of cool stuff happening with Thaumcraft, and there's even more stuff planned in the days to come. So keep your eye on Azanora's YouTube channel. Keep an eye on the Forgecraft series, and you'll see some pretty cool Thaumcraft stuff before it's even released. All right, guys, this is Direwolf20 signing off. Take it easy. Alright guys, I know we just sounded like we were wrapping up the spotlight. Well, I did. And then Azenor added a couple more things, and he said, hey, throw these things in at the end of the spotlight for me before you release it. I said, sure, no problem, Azenor. So let's take a look at a couple other things that were added to Thaumcraft since I wrapped up the episode of the spotlight just a few seconds ago. So added to Thaumcraft since then are the following items. First off, we've got a pretty important item added, the Void Jar. This is pretty important because it's something that I've actually kind of wanting to do, an automatic way to get rid of extra Essentia that you don't care about. You could have, of course, always shift-click the jar like I showed you guys, but now this way is a lot better. It basically will fill the jar completely, but then any extra Essentia that pours into that jar will simply be voided. So it'll get just destroyed. Let's take a look. So I'm going to go ahead and get myself a jar, and we'll make sure that it's a void jar of Essentia. Cool. Now you can tell the difference between a jar and a void jar simply because, as we look here, it's got this dark cap on it, okay? So let's also get ourselves some Essentia tubes and make sure that we can run Essentia to it. Excellent. So in here we happen to have some earth. So let's get some earth and Essentia. And we'll make sure that this guy is filled up pretty close to full. 56, that looks good. So 56 and 12 is more than 64. Let's get ourselves one more thing, a label. Now, when you label these jars, they're going to have not as good a suction as a non-void jar, but let's see what happens. So it will fill it up. It won't completely void it, but any extra Essentia that lands in the system will, instead of going and just being stuck in this jar, so if we were to keep filling it up, for example, all the Terra will continue to be drained into this jar, and it's drained out of this one, of course, only because it's got a label on it. Without the label, it would not have been drained out of the jar. As we can see here, it's not draining anymore. But all that extra Essentia, basically destroyed. Nice. There's also a change to the Arcane lamp. It's no longer an infusion recipe. It's now an Arcane workbench recipe. So no longer do you have to infuse to get the Arcane lamp, but you will need to use the Arcane bench and just a little bit of aspect from your wand. But now there's a new one called the Lamp of Growth, which is actually really neat. What you can do is you can take an Arcane lamp, like so, and add some gold, some earth, and some bone meal, along with a few aspects, and it'll go ahead and help nearby plants to grow. Let's take a look at that. So real easy, all this thing basically does is help nearby plants to grow. Now it says in the entry here in the Thaumonomicon that the Lamp of Growth does not cast much light unless it is provided by with Herba Essentia. If this is done, any plants which grow where its light shines the brightest will grow much faster than normal. Neat. Let's give it a shot, shall we? I'm going to go ahead and make it dark. Ta-da! And I'm also going to go ahead and place this lamp nearby on top of my little farm here. This looks like as good a place as any. Let's plant that Lamp of Growth right here. So we can see not much light is being released here. It's really not doing much. But like it said, we want to place a jar with some Herba Essentia nearby. There it goes. And it should go ahead and start feeding the lamp. There, nice. Cool. And the lamp is all of a sudden going to be much brighter, and this will help to grow your plants that much faster. It's not like super crazy fast, but it definitely increases the speed by which they grow. The only other thing to note, according to the Thaumonomicon, is you can also, instead of just placing it nearby, you can attach the lamp directly to an Essentia piping system. The pipes are slightly more efficient and will make a single point of Essentia last about 10% longer. So if you want to run pipes from there to there, you can. It'll be about 10% more efficient. But to be honest with you, Herba Essentia is pretty easy to get your hands on, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. I would go ahead and just place the jar nearby. Cool. And it's going to help these things grow. Look at that. We've already got a little bit of growth here. And finally, one of my favorites has returned. Hey, buddy, it's the traveling trunk. Come here, you. Thank you. Please continue to follow me around. The traveling trunk is really nice. It's an infusion crafting recipe, not too hard to make. You just need a little bit of great wood planks, an iron ingot, and a wood golem to help infuse a hungry chest into a traveling trunk. And the guy's pretty nice. He'll follow you around wherever you go. And don't worry about traveling too fast or too far, because if you get far too quickly away from him, he will teleport straight over to you. He'll get impatient, and there he is. He teleported right over. He makes that little Enderman sound when he's teleporting over. Hey, buddy, how's it going? You'll also note that this is Direwolf 20. 20's trunk, and you can specify a couple things. For example, I can click this little box, and the trunk will stay where it is, and no longer will he follow me. So I can bring him back to my base, plop him where I want him, and he won't follow me around until I come back and say, hey, do me a favor, would you? Follow me around again? Great. Come here, you. Ah, you're so friendly. Way to go, traveling trunk. Cool. You can do a couple other things with them. You can pick him up with the Golemancer's Bell. Just left click like that, and he'll come right back to you. And you can also upgrade him with all 6 of the Golem upgrades. Let's take a look at what some of them can do. For example, one of the upgrades is air, which will cause the traveling trunk to move faster. There you go. Unfortunately, you can only give him 1 upgrade at a time. So all 6 of these upgrades are pretty nice. But look, he travels much quicker with that air upgrade. Personally, it's all right, but there's better ones. Let's take a look, for example, at the next one. Water. With this upgrade installed, the traveling trunk cannot be opened or picked up by anyone else but its master. Aha. It also becomes highly resistant to all but the most devastating amounts of damage, so it will increase his damage a bit. With earth, it'll be able to carry more items and gain an additional row in its inventory. With fire, it attacks enemies whenever the master gets attacked. With order, the traveling trunk can retain its items when it's picked up by using the Golemancer's Bell. But of course, if you shift-click it, it will still drop the items. Shift-click also will remove the upgrade. So here, if I throw items in there and then pick them up with the bell, cool. He retains his items. It tells you right there, this trunk holds items. And when you plop him back down, you'll see he's got the items again. Neat, huh? And then finally, the entropy upgrade here is a pretty good one. It causes items nearby to automatically get sucked in. So when you drop items on the ground, he'll eat them up. From a good distance away, too. I think it's like 3 or 4 blocks is what I figured out. Thanks, buddy. So that's the traveling trunk. A very nice little tool. Happy to have him on the team. Great. And with that, guys, we are actually wrapping up this mod spotlight now. So like I told you at the end of the spotlight, about a minute or 2 ago, Aznor constantly adds new things, to the point where in the time it took me to make the spotlight for the prior version, he already released a new version with all kinds of new gadgets. So definitely keep your eye on Thaumcraft. There's tons more coming down the line, and lots of cool gadgets, I think, that he has planned. Alright guys, for now, this is Direwolf20 signing off for real. Hope you enjoyed the spotlight, and take it easy.